How do you guys fix the presentation view?
I don't know. Like that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. Like,
How to send it,
yeah.
and then you can present it. That's always helpful.
It's not even. I can't even share it.
Oh, to email it. A lot of times you have to have either your email hooked up or do you see anything that says display?
Is it only on your laptop or on the screen?
Right. There's nothing on my laptop. That's why I'm like thrown off by it.
Maybe we can turn on the screen and then turn on and it will be okay.
Right. Yeah. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, it does say extend these displays. This is what I like right here. There we go. Boom. Keep changes. Okay. Now we're back. I think somebody else actually likes the other way to display. But there we are. So you just have to submit it to D2L. Is that all that you were trying to do? Okay.
Sometimes to like close PowerPoint window so you can send it. Maybe it might be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
It is open in this program. You cannot do anything with file.
Oh, really?
Sometimes.
Interesting. I can't believe we're already on chapter 7.
But
There's
we
that.
have like several weeks until the semester is done. So
Right, we do. There's 10 days off in the middle of that, which is weird. You know, you guys all leave on Thanksgiving.
So we gone for 10 days. Nice to know.
Like if you're on campus, right? You live in the dorms. That's where it gets tricky. Either one of you live in the dorms? And then you don't have to worry about it. I think if you don't pay up, you gotta move out of the dorms. Same with you.
we will deal with it, I guess.
Yes.
Today we'll talk to our head of the dormitory and like, you know, it's unaffordable for us to go back to Russia.
Right.
Let us stay in the dorm, please.
I know that. It's just so weird that they do that. Like,
it's okay.
really?
In Russia, we have the same time with like summer vacation, 2-3 months of summer vacation, and everybody goes home and they force you to leave dormitory.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have a place you can go, for example, you don't have parents and home, basically, they can allow you to stay there.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll figure out how it works here.
Yeah.
Such a fast cheer here. I have never saw it here before.
That? Probably because she was using it. The class before us, they were teaching. So, how far do we get past maturity and acne?
Pretty far.
Right about, this looks about right.
It was like in the middle.
Yeah. Okay, good. Yep, we're right at the. Anybody else present in your PowerPoint today, or you guys?
Trying to get it on here, like I can't even.
Well, if you have it on there, you could just plug in the cord.
Yeah. I'm still trying to put it on D2L.
Right.
So I can submit it. And I don't know how to.
Is it the same way you submit any work for all of your other classes?
Yeah, but I never use like Google Doc. I never use Google Slides. So I don't know why it's not the same.
So what a lot of people do is copy the link into Word and then submit that Word document.
Might work.
Right, that's the only other way.
Not the easiest way, but might work.
Hello, how are you? Good. We're doing human behavior in the social environment, and this gentleman has volunteered to present today. Sure.
So on my grade, it says that you haven't put in my presentation grade, but I
Right.
presented the Chick-fil-A. So I don't know
Right.
if you put it on some paper. Is that how it works?
I did. Did you submit it to D2L? Like you put your PowerPoint into, you have to submit it to D2L.
Okay, I'm about to submit it.
'Cause that's the
now.
only way I can grade it.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry, Mom.
That's okay. So yeah, we actually did finish on that slide. Because yeah, you got social workers need to understand social and legal aspects of communicating and consenting to adults. So yeah, when you're a teenager, attitudes, emotions, and regulation. You've got storm and stress. Like, have any of you guys ever fought with your parents or guardian? Ever? Yeah. So that's what comes up. Oh yeah, self-esteem is at the lowest point in early adolescence, and then most of you emerge from adolescence with the same amount of self-esteem. As you came into it with. You could have mood swings a lot, especially with like when you're developing and going through maturity. Identity and interdependence. So with some of them, connectedness is a big deal. So adolescents respect and openness to others' views and connectedness to parents promotes individuation and identity development. So you're like learning how to be your own adult at that time. And becoming autonomous, so individuation. You've got separateness and self-assertion. Separateness is your expression of individuals' distinct self from others, and then self-assertion. It refers to your adolescence expression of your viewpoints and clear communication. And then, yeah, with Hispanic adolescents, they say more like interdependence than independence. So, like, they have a large family commitment and whatnot. You able to get it into D2L? So, you haven't turned in any assignments? through D2L this semester?
Oh no, I have. That's what I'm so confused about because it's only doing PowerPoint.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not letting me like. So when you go to D2L, it say comments and stuff. So it's not like I can just copy and paste it and upload it. It's not gonna let me.
Right, you have to upload a file. So a lot of people have to paste the Word document or download the actual PowerPoint and then upload that file. Because it lets you save it from Google Docs.
That's what I'm on right now on Google Docs.
Mm-hmm. So downloading it from there.
And then I download it as a Microsoft Word, right?
You could do Word or PowerPoint. Either one's fine. So when you all fought with your parents, what were your fights usually about?
I was not going according to the rules. And you're like, no, I want to saying I know better. No, nothing goes live. Just usual stuff.
Does that sound right for all of you?
Did you ever have
I mean, I never had like no strict parents. I had like the way they were. They were like what's the word you could say? But I mostly got into them because like they used to always try to control me. They used to try to make me the person I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
That's where people know.
And then how were yours?
I think my mom's just always been
Okay, that can happen. Are they still together? Okay. Sometimes, yeah, moms get really protective. You're right. It's a tough. Oh yeah, we went through egocentrism. If you fight with them, sometimes you think you have an imaginary audience while you're fighting with your parents, but some of the hazards. So internalizing problems, depression, and suicide is the third leading cause of death. The average onset of depression is between 13 and 15 years of age. And then those externalizing their problems, there's 25% referred for delinquency and conduct disorders. So with delinquency, it was more normative and peaks around the age of 16. It's higher in boys and ethnic minorities. Younger delinquents are riskier. Also, when there's deviant behavior that occurs at early ages, the problem is seen as conduct disorder. And then family intervention and social skills training are most effective treatments. So doing like home visits. With the social dimension, the 3 developmental tasks, you've got autonomy development. So learn how to be your own self. Like a lot of people do it by 18. Sometimes it could take to 20 or 24. Resolve parent and adolescent conflict, and then establish parent-adolescent attachment. Some of the stuff with peer pressure, just tell me when you're able to get it uploaded, and I'll let you go. So peer pressure, it peaks in early adolescence. Conformity can be positive and negative. Friendships of intimacy, trust, loyalty, and commitment. Intimacy in friendships refers to the sharing of personal thought. Get some help with identity and sexual and emotional development. Because as you know, adolescence goes up until 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, keeps going. Some peer groups you'll expose yourself to could be either cliques or like crowds at your high school. And then you're learning the social skills. So that involves active group members, participation at each step. Then we got some on gangs like delinquency. It differentiates gangs from other peer groups. Some of the risk factors are that poverty and little attachment to people or social institutions. And then also adolescents have a developmental need to associate with peer groups. Most members are 14 to 18 years old and can go as old as 30. And then female gang involvement is reported by law enforcement agencies to be about 6 to 8%. So males often are involved a little bit longer. Some of the social dimensions, the schools, so you develop a mismatch in the transition from elementary to middle schools for it's a fit. Small school to large and personal bureaucratic like colleges. When you go from high school to college, you have a bit more students, unless if you're in a huge high school. So you could go from top dog to bottom dog and then have a shift in peer groups. There's still concerns of like puberty and concerns about body image and decreased dependency on parents. So that kind of shows up. And then occasionally there is a high school dropout. Did you guys have any dropouts in your classes? High school dropouts? It happens. Sometimes they do okay and get a job, and sometimes they don't. Any of them do well for themselves or do worse than you thought?
I went to school with a dude named Savion, and he was a grade ahead of me. But he was always just somebody that was real cool. He played basketball, like he was okay at basketball. Like he wasn't on the basketball team, but he was one of those kids that may have had trouble at home, so his grade may have not been there. Like it was just unfortunate circumstances for him. He was a real cool dude, and then like he ended up getting laced, and he still came to school after that, but he just wasn't the same at all.
What does laced mean again? Like
Put something in his drugs.
yeah, they put
like heroin or fentanyl? And then did he overdose from it?
no. He kept coming back to school, but he just realized that he just wasn't the same person. It came out that he ended up getting laced, and then so this was probably like his junior year.
Okay.
When he got laced. He eventually stopped coming to school so often, but I seen him like 2 months ago on the street, and he was just like,
Really?
it hurt my heart so bad because it was somebody that I went to high school with.
Yeah.
His body was just deformed, like completely. It was just so graphic to me because he was somebody that I seen just regular and alive, okay, and just to see him, he was basically like a crackhead.
Like he lost all his muscle tone and he didn't have any. So he smoked. He just was smoking a blunt, thought it was a normal day, and then it was carfentanil. And then what happened? Like, do you pass out, stop breathing, have to go to the hospital? Or
I'm not sure.
But something happened, then his psychological brain changed, and then he became addicted or only knew how to cope with more drugs.
Yeah.
Okay. Damn. What city?
Milwaukee.
Really? Yeah, it's getting cold. If you just saw him a couple weeks ago, it's going to get cold fast up there. Like, how do you live on the street in Milwaukee? Right.
I mean, somehow they be surviving because I've seen the same crackheads for years.
Right. Yeah.
So, I don't want to say it like that, but that's what they are crackheads.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah. Well, it's hard to get sober. Like once you get caught in that cycle of addiction, it's really hard to get sober, get housing. You can certainly go to treatment centers, but it takes a lot of work too. So it's like trying to finish college. It's just the same deal. And of course, you don't have to go to college. You can certainly get a good paying job with, some people say, do you want to push a shovel or do you want to push some paper? Like as a social worker, we're paper pushers, or in psychology, we push paper or push a shovel. And sometimes nowadays, physical labor pays a whole lot more. DoorDash and Amazon Prime a whole lot more.
I think that it's recently changed in the last like 4 or 5 years.
Really?
Because if I was a senior or junior in high school right now, I probably wouldn't have came to college.
Right.
Just because of the way that stuff is changing,
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't have.
Yeah, there's no good promise with a college degree. I mean, luckily in social work, we can get a license, you can practice, so there's some promise to that. But bachelor's of art history or something that you don't, what do you do with it? How's your uploads coming?
I got it.
Oh, you did? Dude. All right. Let's get this show on the road so we can get you guys. Do you graduate in the spring, you said?
The fall.
Okay. Cool. All right. Let's go to, so you would be under here, right? Presenting one of these. Okay. And then right there you are. See? You are on live camera, I think. Yep. Cool. So let me, however you want to do it, but you can either stand right up there in front of it, or it'll probably say you need to give me access, how much you want to bet. Watch. Just watch. It'll be like, you need to get access.
Wow.
So it just sent you an email. I knew that was going to happen. That's how it happens. So maybe if you give me access, it'll just pop up. But yeah, part of college, it's weird, but just learning how to do these systems, how to type stuff up in notes. Are you applying to any graduate schools? Do you want to go to graduate school? Do you know
Maybe later.
do you know what you want to do after graduation? Maybe I should say it that way.
I know I want to go into child development.
Okay.
So working with children.
Mm-hmm. In Milwaukee.
Probably.
Okay. They got a lot of good schools up there. That's why I always say. Well, cool. If you're brainstorming, especially next semester, usually you're supposed to apply the semester before your last semester. Come talk with us and we'll get you going. Get you moving. Who's your advisor?
Door.
Cool. Let's see here. Let's click on it now. There it is. Yay. See? Time, patience, and I'll make sure the camera's got you centered here. All right. So
I don't need light in the camera like that.
I know. But it is part of learning how to be a good social worker and psychologist and all of that.
How do I make this what's called it? Slides. Yeah. I'll present.
That would be it. That's the one.
Okay. All right, what's up? Obviously my name is Davion. I didn't pick a specific mental health disorder, but so I labeled a bunch of them. So I started off what are mental disorders? A mental health disorder is a wide range of effects. It affects someone's mood, behavior, and thinking. Mental disorders causes depression, bipolar disorders, and even schizophrenia. I forgot to say that word. There are all types of disorders, but I listed the most common disorders that we have in America. Number one is anxiety disorder. Number two, depression, panic disorder, phobias, and PTSD. PTSD is probably one of the most common disorders. I know a lot of people that suffer from PTSD. So, yeah. Anxiety disorders are the most listed mental health issue in the U.S. I know a lot of people don't do drugs because of anxiety. I know a lot of people don't go out to football games and movies and stuff because of anxiety, which I understand. This disorder affects almost 40 million people in the United States, and that That's almost 18% of our population every year. And I looked at a most recent article. Every year it grows about 3%. Disorders can be treated, but yet not a lot of people seek help because we feel like we may be judged or nobody can help us. I mean, that's what happens when you're always in your head. Like, you just got to try to stay out your head. The number one mental health issue is depression. Depression impacts almost 300 million people and generally affects females more than men. Depression comes in different ways, like distancing yourself, suicidal thoughts, and having trouble eating or sleeping. So, like, when I mean by trouble eating or sleeping, you may be eating too much, like gaining weight, or sometimes you're not eating at all. Ways to help yourself or others. There are many ways you can help treat a disorder like depression. You can go see a therapist, take medication, or you can also meditate. Also, you can help that person by checking up on that person. When that person is talking to them, listen to them. Let them know that you are here for them, and most importantly, don't belittle the condition. And then my sites, you can find like all the information on both of these sites. Hello. And so here, like, it just lists like everything that's going on in the U.S. as of right now. It's where I actually found that it grows a good 2 to 3%. And I don't know how I go back. You got a lot of tabs, like a lot of tabs. And then
Is that your video?
I have 2 sites that I worked off of.
Oh, okay.
And then this one, this is a whole bunch of major disorders. That's the major ones. That's going on with like students like us. Because me personally, I feel like I just get depressed when I come straight here. Like, I'm cool when I'm at home, but like when I'm here, it ain't the same.
Mm-hmm.
And it also lists like the definition of the disorders. Me personally, I don't like calling them disorders. I call them illnesses because they can be cured.
Okay.
Then I also have a video. Video might be corny though, but it's cool.
Depression is the leading cause of disability in the world. In the United States, close to 10% of adults struggle with depression. But because it's a mental illness, it can be a lot harder to understand than, say, high cholesterol. One major source of confusion is the difference between having depression and just feeling depressed. Almost everyone feels down from time to time. Getting a bad grade, losing a job, having an argument, even a rainy day can bring on feelings of sadness. Sometimes there's no trigger at all. It just pops up out of the blue. Then circumstances change, and those sad feelings disappear. Clinical depression is different. It's a medical disorder, and it won't go away just because you want it to. It lingers for at least 2 consecutive weeks and significantly interferes with one's ability to work, play, or love. Depression can have a lot of different symptoms: a low mood, loss of interest in things you normally enjoy, changes in appetite, feeling worthless or excessively guilty, sleeping either too much or too little, poor concentration, restlessness or slowness, loss of energy, or recurrent thoughts of suicide. If you have at least 5 of those symptoms, according to psychiatric guidelines, you qualify for a diagnosis of depression. And it's not just behavioral symptoms. Depression has physical manifestations inside the brain. First of all, there are changes that could be seen with the naked eye and X-ray vision. These include smaller frontal lobes and hippocampal volumes. On a more micro scale, depression is associated with a few things: the abnormal transmission or depletion of certain neurotransmitters, especially serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine, blunted circadian rhythms, or specific changes in the REM and slow wave parts of your sleep cycle, and hormone abnormalities, such as high cortisol and deregulation of thyroid hormones. But neuroscientists still don't have a complete picture of what causes depression. It seems to have to do with a complex interaction between genes and environment, but we don't have a diagnostic tool that can accurately predict where or when it will show up. And because depression symptoms are intangible, it's hard to know who might look fine but is actually struggling. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, it takes the average person suffering with a mental illness over 10 years to ask for help. But there are very effective treatments. Medications and therapy complement each other to boost brain chemicals. In extreme cases, electroconvulsive therapy, which is like a controlled seizure in the patient's brain, is also very helpful. Other promising treatments, like transcranial magnetic stimulation, are being investigated too. So if you know someone struggling with depression, encourage them gently to seek out some of these options. You might even offer to help with specific tasks, like looking up therapists in the area or making a list of questions to ask a doctor. To someone with depression, these first steps can seem insurmountable. If they feel guilty or ashamed, point out that depression is a medical condition, just like asthma or diabetes. It's not a weakness or a personality trait, and they shouldn't expect themselves to just get over it, any more than they could will themselves to get over a broken arm. If you haven't experienced depression yourself, avoid comparing it to times you've felt down. Comparing what they're experiencing to normal temporary feelings of sadness can make them feel guilty for struggling. Even just talking about depression openly can help. For example, research shows that asking someone about suicidal thoughts actually reduces their suicide risk. Open conversations about mental illness help erode stigma and make it easier for people to ask for help. And the more patients seek treatment, the more scientists will learn about depression, and the better the treatments will get.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's it. I like how you covered all of them, but it did kind of zero in on depression. That's probably the most frequent. You guys have any questions or ideas for how you'll do your presentation? I want to get you guys complete and graduated and all of the above. So, gosh, it really already is 3:15. So, where are we at there? Okay. Well, I want to give you guys a chance to work on your presentation. Are you going to do them like Tuesday or Thursday?
I hope so. I didn't know that we don't have such a big gap for 10 days. So I thought I had a little more time than I actually have.
Right. Okay.
I'm shooting for Thursday.
Okay. That's fine. Well, cool. Let's actually stop it there. Now we're at a third of the way through. 2/3 of the way through on this.
You have like 2 weeks, I guess.
Right. We have 2 more weeks in class in person. So, and then, yeah, gone for a long time. Because we'll start in this again, adolescence of color, social dimension. Any questions about anything too? I heard it was like the 19th.